Good evening, and welcome to this regular meeting of the Helotes City Council. It's March 26, 2015, and we are underway at 7 p.m. Before we get started on the agenda, I would like to ask if anyone has a cell phone or other electronic communication device, if you would be so kind as to put it on to silent or vibrate or off. And then also, if you have a need for texting or carrying on a conversation with someone else in the room, we'd appreciate it if you would step into the hallway or outside, because it is a little disruptive. Getting started then, first up on the agenda is our invocation, and tonight that will be given by Councilmember Massey, and then we'll have the pledges for the American and Texas flag. So if you'll stand for the invocation and pledges, please.
Thank you, Dave. Dear Lord, thank you for another day to enjoy our blessings. We especially thank you for our city staff, elected officials, and volunteers who continue to work hard for our citizens to make Helotes a great place to live. We ask for wisdom and discernment for this council as we deliberate during tonight's meeting. Help us to make the right decisions for our community with courtesy and consideration. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible.
Our next item is open session, citizens to be heard. Grace, did anyone sign up? Okay, we have no one that signed up for citizens to be heard, so we'll move on to a proclamation. And tonight we are going to present a proclamation to our dispatch center and emergency services personnel for National Public Safety Telecommunications Week. So we'll get that underway. Angela, you're up. Testing, yes. Just a little history about our dispatch center. When we built our police and fire stations back in 2010, part of that was a project for our dispatch center, which is something that we desperately needed because we were dependent upon Bexar County for our fire alarms and on Leon Valley Dispatch for our police and other emergencies. And it was okay, but it wasn't great. So we were able to fit the dispatch center in with the construction of the police station. And we actually flipped the switch with our dispatch center on October 4th at noon. And everything went great. And we've been operating ever since. We started out with a full staff of dispatchers, and we've had some come and some go since 2010. But each year we like to recognize their efforts and their dedication to the job. I don't know if you have ever thought about it, but a dispatcher is the first person that a person with an emergency contacts. And then that dispatcher has to determine who to dispatch. Generally it's police and fire, but they have a lot of decision making that they have to do in a very short period of time. All of ours are EMDs, emergency medical dispatchers. Pretty well everybody. Is everybody now? Yeah, I was thinking that. But in that case, if somebody calls in with a medical emergency, the dispatcher actually has a flip chart, and they can go to that flip chart and give step-by-step instructions on everything from delivering a baby to CPR to you name it. And so it's pretty nice that we have that. And they all are undergoing continuous training. And Angela is our dispatch supervisor. She's the second one that we've had, and she just started with us the middle of last year, and she's done a great job on bringing us up to all of the standards. I would like to commend her and our staff because a few months ago we were audited by the state, DPS, and they left here and they could not find a single problem with our dispatch center. So we had 0 deficiencies, and we commend her and her staff on that. Well, let me read this proclamation. And it says, Office of the Mayor, Helotes, Texas, proclamation, National Public Safety Telecommunications Week. Whereas the National Public Safety Telecommunications Week honors local dispatch, police, fire, and medical professionals by recognizing their dedicated service in helping those in need through the use of telecommunications. And whereas the men and women in our dispatch center are dedicated, unseen first responders that answer calls for help, gather essential information, and dispatch an appropriate assistance, often making the difference between life and death for persons in need. And whereas Helotes dispatchers are highly trained individuals devoted to public safety, dispatching, and strive for consistent excellence in customer service while maintaining the highest level of professionalism. And whereas today we salute our full-time and part-time dispatchers, Supervisor Angela Baccancelli, dispatchers Christina Lopez, Ashley Suarez, Tony Nickerson, Joseph Scott, Skylar Daly, Sabrina Richardson, and Rosalind Rosales for their exemplary service, dedication, compassion, understanding, and professionalism during the performance of their duties, and remind them you do really make a difference all throughout the year. Now, therefore, I, Thomas A. Schoolcraft, on behalf of the members of City Council, and by virtue of the authority vested in me as mayor of the city of Helotes, Texas, do hereby proclaim the week of April 12th through 18th, 2015 as National Public Safety Telecommunications Week, and recognize and commend our dispatchers for their service to our community. In witness whereof I hereunto set forth my hand and caused this seal to be affixed. I want you to know we had to make a smaller font to make everything fit on that. But anyway, yeah, congratulations. Got us?
All right.
Thanks a bunch.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Welcome in.
Do you want to say anything?
No.
Okay. Great. Great. And again, that is a tough job. I've sat in there on occasion and watched them work, and it's long periods, it seems like to me, of just normal stuff, followed by short periods of utter chaos. And they've had some very challenging calls throughout the years, and we're just so glad to have them on board and to have our own dispatch centers so that our folks that perform emergency services have somebody here in the police station and dispatch center that really watches out for our guys. So it's a tremendous service. Okay, next up is our consent agenda. Tonight we have items 4 through 7. And the consent agenda, for those of you who are new to meeting agendas, are items that are considered by or that I consider and staff considers fairly routine, and the intent is for all of them to be handled with one motion and second and a vote, and that's how they're presented to council. However, if a council member has a question on any of the items that can be answered fairly quickly and briefly, they have the option of asking a question. If they would like to have complete discussion on an item, then they can request to have that item pulled, and we would pull it from the consent agenda and move it down into the regular agenda. So that being said, on consent agenda items 4 through 7, are there any questions on any of the items or a request to pull anything? Nothing? Okay, no questions and no Discussion being desired, I would ask for a motion and a second on consent items 4 through 7 to be approved.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes.
I move that we approve the consent agenda items 4 through 7 as written.
We have a motion by Villanueva. Do we have a second?
Second.
Paul beat you by a hair.
Oh, man.
We have a motion by Villanueva and a second by Fredericks. We'll go right to the question. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say no. Motion carries. Consent agenda items 4 through 7 are approved as written. Next up is item number 8, and this is a presentation and an action item. Tonight we have Jonathan Bean from TxDOT, who is going to briefly review for council and for you folks that are here in the room to just take a look at our, go ahead, come on, our realignment project on 1560, and then answer questions from council. There will be no questions from the gallery, only from council. And that being said, Jonathan, just identify who you are and who you're with for the
Thanks.
record, and then
Thanks, Mayor.
it's all yours.
Sure, thanks. Jonathan Bean, I'm with the Texas Department of Transportation. I'm the Director of Planning and Development for the San Antonio District, 12 County District, in Bexar County and the surrounding counties. So we do have this project we've brought to you a couple of times. We've had the public meeting that we held a few months ago, and we've also had a workshop here at City Council, so we're real glad to talk to you about it one more time. And I think the agenda item tonight is really to talk about your support for the project and the way we have it laid out. And so I wanted to run back through the layout of the project quickly with you and just answer any questions that you have as the mayor mentioned. Just to give a broad view, this is basically FM 1560 right within the vicinity of the City Hall here at the intersection of 1560 and Bandera Road. And, you know the area very well. Basically what the project would do is realign the current intersections such that to make it safer and more operationally efficient. The existing intersection is really right in this area here. City Hall is down in this area. Basically it realigns the 1560 alignment to back here next to two fat guys here, and then the development here at the Shell station. And basically what the way this is laid out is, and I'll go through kind of the way the turning movements would occur along the roadway. I think that's one of the areas that we wanted to be sure we had your full support on, because it does kind of manage the access, it manages the turning movements to some degree in a way that is much safer and much more operationally efficient. The next slide will go into some of that, but just to kind of run through it, you've got Riggs Road here, you've got left in movements here, and you have two turnarounds here as well as here. I know some of the concerns in the past have been with emergency services. What we've done to kind of modify our design since we've talked last is we've placed a mountable curb here in the median. That would only be for emergency services to use. This is basically a solid median all the way through here for all of the traffic except for emergency services. But that would allow emergency vehicles to drive across. It would be signed that way. It would be delineated that way. So some of the turning movements that would occur is basically you have FM 1560 to State Highway 16 northbound. You would come out of 1560 here. You would take a right and make a U-turn and go north. If you're on Circle A and you want to go southbound on State Highway 16, you'd make a right, you'd follow it up by a U-turn and come back. I think I pointed at the wrong U-turn right here. And then if you're, let's see, if you're at 1560 And of course, you just want to go southbound on Bandera Road, you just make a right out. And if you want to go, if you're going northbound on Bandera Road and you want to go 1560, you can make a left in here. So hopefully that kind of explains the general concept of the project. Again, the project was an MPO project that the city and TxDOT basically partnered on in our submission, and it was selected. Basically a total project cost of about $5 million. We are planning to go to construction in winter of 2016. Project duration is about 18 months.
Just as a quick review, and if I get something mixed up, correct me, but we started this in 2008, for those folks that don't know, by the Economic Development Corporation performing or having a traffic study done. And this was, the traffic study was based upon this thought process. And it went to the MPO, Metropolitan Planning Organization, in 2010, I believe, maybe 2011. Wasn't selected, but it was selected in 2012. So we've been playing with this since about then. It did not include these modifications at that time, the modifications to Bandera Road. However, in looking at this, multiple times it was determined by you guys and agreed to by us in theory that the modifications to Bandera Road would make it much more efficient and make the traffic flow and the waiting times just, the flow would be better and the waiting times would be a lot less. And so that's why we are looking at an additional project part on Bandera Road. And so the resolution that we're asking council to approve tonight is just part of the process of making this whole project go.
That's correct. You hit the nail on the head. We've been in this process for a while with you, just like you mentioned, and since this was kind of a new element, we wanted to be sure we had your full support moving forward and not kind of going out on our own with this, because it is something that's new, a little innovative, a little different, but we think it'll be much improved over a conventional intersection.
Okay, well, we'll go ahead and open it up to questions, and if I can pick the order, Ed, would you like to go first?
Thanks. I do have a couple concerns about the traffic pattern going down Riggs Road. As you know, people will try to find an alternate route if they perceive the traffic pattern to be full up and down, south and northbound on Bandera. So, and as a property owner in Riggs, I'm just curious, how have you taken a look at what impact it may have on the school? You know, we have the school, the church, and any other, commercial facility down that road.
What we did is we looked at options for how we could address Riggs Road with this project. And I think, we did have a meeting at the district office with a few of the council members, and we looked at possibility of raised medians in that area to only allow right in, right out, and that was generally kind of, I don't think that's somewhere we wanted to go with this current project. The option is still on the table as we monitor traffic and as we see, as the project opens up and we see that there may be issues. There are other things we can do with access management to force traffic out the other direction on Bandera Road if that's desired for left turn access. A signal is very close. Placing a signal at Riggs Road is an option I don't think we want to go to. It would have to warrant, first of all, but even if it did warrant, it's so close to Bandera Road, we think that it could end up causing more problems than it would help. So those are the things we did look at. We recognize that it could be something that we need to address in the future, but I think it's probably one of those things we ought to monitor together.
Well, and as of right now, the traffic flow is the same as it is currently on this plan. It'll be all access to that intersection, right?
That's right. That's
Yeah.
right. Right now, with this plan, it's full access at Riggs Road and 1560.
So there shouldn't be any impact one way or another adversely any more than there is now.
That's correct.
Okay. Cindy?
No, this answers my questions just looking at it. I just realized that if you turn right off of Circle A, there's 2 turn lanes. You have to do the U-turn and to get back to go south on Bandera Road, you have to do the second. There's no I guess U-turn on Farm on 1560.
Right, it's a left turn only.
It's just a left turn. that
That's
was gonna-
correct.
Yeah,
If you
okay.
wanna go back south, you have to go down to the.
Go up
You have to
there
go all the way
about
to the other
Ooh-la-la.
end. And then the other thing is, just wanted to reiterate that little area, what's that little area? Okay, the area that we were supposed to close down but is staying open between the 4 stop signs.
Right here?
Yes.
Yes,
This
yes,
what you're
like,
talking
it's hard to see that, yes.
Yes.
Okay, there's a little, is that a median in the middle? What is
Yes,
that?
right now you can cross the median, maybe this one's
It's
a
a
little
painted
easier.
Yeah, there,
median.
that's better,
Um,
Yeah, I'm
thi-
talking, okay, I'm not
This
talking,
is still a raised island here.
She's
And
talking about
I'm talking about the actual,
right at the Shell station,
where, yeah, the Shell
Jonathan.
station where the 4 stop signs are.
Yeah,
I'm trying
right
to fig-
there.
Yeah, what is that thing in the middle there?
Is that's a painted median, just like it is now, I'm assuming.
Right here,
No, in that street, right there.
Right there.
Yeah, that,
it's
what's
all
that?
paint. It's
Yeah.
all paint.
It's just paint. Oh.
It's essentially very similar to what you have today in regard to the configuration of the road that leads up to this point. But you will no longer have all of these all this left turning traffic coming in here, conflicting with this traffic coming out here. All this will be for is right turn in and right turn out. So there will be a considerable traffic decrease of traffic flowing through here. You know, right now you have all this traffic flowing on here, and you have, a lot of traffic coming out here and turning left in here.
Right.
All that maneuver will be occurring back in here, with the exception of traffic just wanting to come here locally.
And where are the stop signs? Okay, it's kind of hard to tell for, the person coming down 15, 16 in front of in back of the Shell, I guess,
Yeah.
they stop right there. No.
Right.
If you're coming on 16
No,
and
I'm
going
talking
this
about
way,
that-
you're coming this
That
way.
one, that one.
Okay, we can
That
have
bottom
this.
stop sign,
There's a bottom stop sign right
Yes.
there?
right there.
Okay,
It'll be a 3-way stop,
a 3-way stop.
and then also a stop sign going on to Bandera Road.
Oh, okay.
And I'll reiterate something that you probably are aware of, but this, when this project is complete, that segment of road here will be under your control. It will revert to you, and you'll be able to sign that, with stop signs and
Okay.
do what you need to do there.
Oh, I thought those were your stop signs.
Well, they are
You-
now, and
you
we can,
need to-
and
you
we
need
can
to
put them up
install
with our
those be-
project.
Install those before you
We
dedicate the
can
street to the
put them where
city.
you want.
Okay.
Anything else?
No, that's it.
Stop
Alex?
signs are cheap.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. I did have a couple questions. On the far top left of your map, to the left of the white box, there's a parking lot, and I believe there is an existing cut through the median at that location. Will that remain, or will that disappear?
And make sure I understand where you're
That
talking about
parking
this
lot
one?
just above and to the right of where you are. See it there? The church parking lot.
Okay,
No,
church parking
Up
lot.
higher, the other
Right
church.
here.
Sorry.
They'll have to go to that turnaround.
I'm sorry.
Right, that.
This,
Right.
where
There's a
will they,
turn-
how will they get out? Okay,
Well,
right now they can go across here. They'll just have to go up here to make this turnaround to go this way.
Okay, but if they're coming from the top left down, they're coming in
Yes.
Bandera Road, will they be able to go into that parking lot, or is that median basically gonna
It
be
will be
sealed off?
gone. This
So they will have to go
go
all the way
to
down
here.
to the,
That's
and
right.
back, okay,
That's right.
okay. The other question I had really kind of is maybe a little bit beyond the scope of this, but is another thing that leads right into this. I know there's a large backup of people wanting to turn left to get onto 1560, which is driving the entire project. But there's another huge area of congestion, and your map shows 3 and 4 lanes starting down here at the bottom right corner as it moves to the left.
Okay.
But then there's only 2 lanes from there all the way back to Leslie Road. But then you get to the other side of Leslie and you have 3 lanes. If you were trying to be at about 5 or 6 o'clock this afternoon, trying to come out Bandera from 1604, that other intersection, and I know that's slightly out of the scope of this particular project, and it'll be dealt with in another project in a year or so, but that backs up all the way past Cedar Trail and almost back all the way to 1604. It's a better part of a mile of backup because it goes from 3 lanes to 2 lanes, at that point. Is there any, and that's a short distance from this turnaround here back to that. I don't know that the other project has a scope of changing Bandera to add an extra lane there so that you can have 3 lanes go straight through. Would this be able to incorporate that? You know, are you familiar with what I'm talking about?
I think I am. What you're saying is there's a lane reduction of 3 lanes to 2 lanes, and I don't know exactly where that occurs.
It's at Leslie
I can't
Road.
remember, but it's, okay. But that project scope right now does not include any improvements on Bandera Road, that project being the FM 1560 expansion
Right.
project. It just includes 1560. It could include some improvements like what we're doing here with the Super Street. Trying to extend a whole nother lane all the way down to this area would probably be beyond anything we could fund with that project, but it's definitely something we can look towards the future and as a future project. Definitely needed. You know, when we talked about the Super Street with you for the full limits from 1604 all the way beyond 1560. That's not something that we're deciding tonight. I think the resolution only shows this project itself with these 2 turnarounds. But that is something we could continue to discuss with you and look at it with future projects, and it could include that additional lane. But we are, you know, Bandera Road is very high on our priority list as far as planning for the future, because it's just it's a funding issue. As additional funding becomes available, I think this would be one of our top candidates for.
I bring it up because the whole idea of the flow of traffic through the city, and that becomes a completely other bottleneck that's in between 2 major projects, and that bottleneck's not going away. It's gonna stay there, and it's gonna continue to congest traffic, outbound traffic, because inbound already has 3 lanes. It's the outbound traffic that's limited to 2 at that point, with a mandatory right-hand turn off of Bandera and on to 1560 going east. So I just didn't know, given the distance, if there was something that could be looked at, because to wait for this other unfunded project, which may be 10 more years, give or take, that seems like this is still gonna be a major congestion area that causes a lot of people to start cutting people off and having other issues with traffic, so,
Let us take that back and see what we can do on that. So,
thank you.
Sure.
I know there's a shoulder there already, so, but anyhow. And those were my questions, because the others have been answered. Thank you, Mayor.
Okay, just to expand on the timeline, the way we understand it, and you can confirm this, but the information that we pulled, or Rick pulled from the, I guess that was the MPO website, that the project from Loop 410 all the way out to Whipplewell is ultimately the goal that you guys have for improving the roadway. And that's a $60 million project, as I recall. From 1604 to Whipplewell is essentially 15 million of that. But the earliest possible funding date would be 2023. And that's depending upon Proposition 1 funding, which is the oil and gas funding. It could be much later than that. So that's just information for council and the folks watching, that any other improvements other than this project to Bandera Road would be 2023 or beyond. Fair enough?
As with the current funding the way it is,
Yes.
That's where the MPO currently has the project. So I don't foresee it happening sooner than that at this point, but you know, sometimes additional funding does become available. What our goal is to continue to advance the projects along Bandera Road and many others within the MPO areas, such that if additional funding does become available, it could happen sooner.
So if you find an extra 15 million laying around?
That's right, in the seat cushions, I guess, yeah. No,
Well, it's just-
sometimes that happens. The legislature meets every 2 years, and
Yeah.
there's little shots in the arm that they do give TxDOT at times, and there's things that occur to provide additional funding. So, you know, I hate to say that it would not be any sooner than 2023 at this point, but that is where the MPO has it right now.
Okay. Yeah, it just shows us once again that it takes extreme patience to get these things done, but essentially they usually do if we just continue to wait, which is fine. We're excited about the project. Hopefully everyone will be once it's underway. Paul?
I guess really the only question I had was just kind of considering morning traffic coming down 1560. And I think you addressed this last time, but I can't remember. There's that bridge there right before you get to Riggs Road, which would be a bottleneck. But what is the holding capacity really from that bridge up to Bandera Road versus the existing now, which is just one lane over kind of in front of City Hall? Did y'all look at that holding capacity, and was it increased?
It'll be much better. I mean, you've got 2 lanes approaching the intersection
Right.
versus 1 lane. It'll be way better.
Okay, and will that light be kind of monitored and looked at and cycles adjusted to?
Most definitely. We'll have to be sure that we synchronize all the lights within the corridor with the 2 turnarounds as well as the actual intersection at 1560. So yes, we'll be constantly monitoring that.
That's all I can add. Thank you.
Bert?
Jonathan, I got just one question about the emergency curb.
Yes.
I know a fire truck can go over it, but can a police car go over it?
We can design it so that a vehicle can go over it. We've got to be, careful. It may not go over comfortably.
Okay, so that means that if a police car can go over it, a regular car can go over it. Is that emergency curb set in stone? Do we have to do that?
No.
Okay,
No, it
I
was
think
a
that-
response to the emergency services.
right. I think that's something that we need to look at. I don't particularly care for that, when all they have to do is go down a little ways and make the turnaround and go back up. I know it's gonna be against the law to go over it and you'll be ticketed for it, but we can't watch the intersection 24 hours a day. That is the only thing about this project that I don't like. So that's the only question I had.
Well, and just a reminder to council, this is very early design stage, and we'll have multiple meetings between now and the time we really get into the final plans. I'm assuming we will anyway. So these are all things yet to be discussed.
Okay.
But up to this point, the meetings we've had, this is pretty much the solution we're looking at, waiting for environmental and everything to be completed, which is pretty much done now.
Yes.
So it's just a matter of doing some surveying, looking at some other things around the Shell station, and then getting into the design stage. So we'll kind of be kneecap to kneecap a couple of times at least as we go through this.
Yeah,
Okay.
I agree. We do want to follow your lead on that particular issue, as that is a request that came from
I just don't like to
City. And if you guys are interested in continuing to have that in the plan, we'll do it. If you guys want to take it out, we'll take it out.
Okay. Any other questions, Ed? No? Cindy, any follow-up?
Yeah, I would just say that I have a little disagreement with Bert on that. I don't understand why we can't have that bump there for the fire truck and just tell the police that they have to go around. I mean, why couldn't we do that?
Well, and we could make it such that a police vehicle could not go over it. We could, and, it's all in the engineering. We could design it so that a police car would essentially not want to use it, so that no other vehicle would,
Now-
other than
Yeah.
Yeah,
fire
now,
truck,
the other
so.
thing is, I guess it's the time, okay? And you may be right, it may, the turnaround and then back around, because a truck going over it is gonna have to go very slow. So actually, I don't know if you can even time something like that, but I'm thinking that the time it would take the truck to get over it, they could already have been around this other way. And I think it's, so that's something too, so.
And as I recall, you said that is something that could be decided all the way up to the end of the construction on the project.
Certainly.
It would be a minor thing to either keep in or take out.
It is a minor thing. It's not
Yeah.
something you have to decide tonight.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
And the other thing is, the fact that, that this little part of this supposed super street, that we're gonna be able to do this now, I think is a good thing. This other thing is kind of in the future. We're not voting on a resolution for that, we're just doing this.
Correct.
And this is gonna give us an 8-year, maybe less, 5 to 8 year buffer time to figure out how this is working for us. So I think that this is a good thing. I just wanted to mention that.
Alex, any follow-up?
Yes, so is winter of 2016 like 10 months from now, or a year and 10 months from now? So when does your winter begin?
Well, I believe it's programmed for January right now,
Okay.
so it could be
So
January.
starting in
February,
just
so-
under a year.
Yeah, that's
Okay.
right.
That was it, thank you.
We definitely work in seasons at TxDOT, because you hate to commit to something and then weather permitting, you know, so, and that is the let date. There usually is about a 2 to 3 month lag, before the contract's actually up and running, so just bear that in mind.
You good? Yes, sir. Bert, can you follow up?
Yes, I wrote down a few notes, and this is a lot of the stuff we've said already, but I'd like to say it anyway. We've had numerous meetings with TxDOT, with the last one being this week. Was it this week or was it Friday? I can't remember, but that's how many we've had.
It was last week.
They have been very cooperative with the city and have asked for our input from the beginning. TxDOT has had workshops here at City Hall. From what I've heard, most of the citizen input was positive. Also, where our emergency services have been involved with the dialogue. I myself have received no emails that were negative about this project. I'm talking about this project, the realignment project. Now, the other stuff I won't go into right now. To me, this is not a super street concept per se. It's all about realigning what to me is a dangerous intersection and getting worse every day. Most of the land for the project was donated by the property owner. He is going to replace the old Shell station with a new one that includes a Burger King. The 2 big oak trees that are out front of the existing station will not be removed for this project. As it says right there, the project is funded and with the start in winter of 2016. A couple final things. As with anything new, it will take some getting used to. The area on 1560 that funnels down from 2 lanes to 1 is probably going to be, to me, that is going to be the most problematic. But I have driven plenty of areas that do the same thing. I think this project is long overdue, and I support it. That's all I had.
Good. Any follow-up from you? Any final comments?
I appreciate the opportunity to come back, and we want to continue to work with City of Lotus to bring what, you know, has been mentioned tonight, other solutions other than this project. We want to finish out this project, but we want to keep things moving. Bandera Road needs lots of improvement. We want to get the FM 1560 expansion done. There's another FM 1560, as you mentioned, Councilman, on further south on 1560. So look forward to working with you on all these projects as additional funding becomes available. There is a call for projects at the MPO again coming up this spring on into the summer. So keep your eye out for that. Again, always enjoy our partnership here with the city. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, I'd like to follow up on what Bert said, that you guys are great partners in working with us, as I'm sure you are with the other suburban cities. And we do have other projects, the bridge down here on 1560 at Saltillo Flat and Alta Loma. That's been a problem area for flooding almost every year, and we have to close 1560. And even though the MPO turned down the project, you guys stepped up and said that you would help us with that out of your discretionary funds or wherever it's going to come from, and we'll have a match on that. But that's upcoming, and I always appreciate when I'm coming up from Paragon and that area down past the bridge, coming up here, that you guys actually resurfaced the 1560 area from City Hall all the way past the bridge to Saltillo Flat, essentially, and added that through lane and the turn lanes going left. And so it has really helped a lot of our traffic flow through that area, and that was done out of your pocket. And we always appreciate that kind of help. And so that being said, thanks a lot.
Thank
Okay?
you.
And now we'll
Appreciate
get to a resolution, hopefully.
Okay, sounds good.
Okay, there is an action part to this item, and that is to approve the resolution, which basically is just a very simple resolution that says that the council supports this project, the realignment and the modification to Bandera Road in the vicinity of the realignment intersection. So I would entertain a motion and a second to approve this resolution.
Mr. Mayor, I make a motion that we approve the resolution of the City Council supporting the FM 1560 realignment project.
We have a motion from Buys. Do we have a second?
I'll second that.
and a second from Massey. And I will ask if there are any final questions or requests for further discussion from anyone. None being requested, we'll go to the question. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say no. Motion carries, the resolution is approved, and looks like that's one more step out of the way. Jonathan, we appreciate it again. That is going to be the conclusion to our agenda for tonight. So the only item of business left is to adjourn the meeting, and I will ask if there are any objections from council to adjournment. Hearing no objections, we will adjourn this meeting at 7:40. Thank you all for coming.